Okay, guys, so we will start the session here. I've taken this PDF. This is actually the synopsis that I use to teach history. So why I have taken this is because I can explain with this so that I can make it clear what all are the important points that you need to look for when you're preparing for prelims. So we will stick to that, prelims perspective. Mains at this point of time we can't discuss because this is not a a learning session, or it is not a teaching session the way we used to do in history. This is only the revision part. Something which we have already done, or something which you have already done, we are going to revise it here. Okay, so we will see what all are the important areas which you are not supposed to miss. And after the session, what I'll do is I'll share this also with you so that you will get the synopsis. And actually, I've taken this from the textbook that I've told you, TMH Muhammad Tariq Khan. He was my teacher, so I have learned history from him, and that's why I follow this. So this synopsis will actually help me to revise it so quickly. So that is the reason why I'm using exactly the same. Okay, so guys, all these we have discussed. I think the up till this we have discussed in the previous session. So those who are joining today for the revision session, those who have missed out the previous one, just watch that video. I have shared it with you. In case if you didn't get it, I'll share that again. Okay, so just watch that so that we have done with I think Lord Hastings, and then Lord Cornwallis. John Shore, nothing is there, so here again you can't see anything. And then Lord Wellesley also we have discussed. So if you go for a quick recap, in fact this is a revision. Revision is not possible. So we have discussed about this permanent settlement, civil service reform, judicial reform, police reform, all these discussed under Cornwallis. Okay. Now under Wellesley, we have discussed about subsidiary alliance, and I've told you subsidiary alliance is a military help. So if the question is about, it is famous with Lord Wellesley, but if the question is about who introduced subsidiary alliance, it's a French governor, Dupleix, when he rendered his army to Hyderabad way back in 1740s and 50s. Okay, so subsidiary alliance is actually famous with Wellesley because he used it extensively, and he used it to keep his army across the country, so that without spending anything from their exchequer, they can mobilize their army across different regions of the country, and the very same army, if it is required, they can use for other use also later. Okay, so the idea is without spending anything from their side, they can keep their army across. Like if this is India, you will sign a treaty with this state and this state and this state and this state, so you can keep your army everywhere, and this expenditure of this army will be taken care by the local kings, right? So the concept we have discussed, so Hyderabad, Mysore, Awadh, Peshwa. Okay, these are the states which have signed the treaty. And I've told you the death of Tipu, the fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Historians call it as a honorable death than a dishonorable pact. Why? If you see that question, that is again a mains question, but let me briefly tell about that also. Why it's an honorable death than a dishonorable pact? People will talk about this fourth Anglo-Mysore War and the third and the second and the reasons and the way it was fought and everything. But that's not the question which is asked. What is the question which is asked? The dishonorable pact. What is that pact? It is the subsidiary alliance. Why it is dishonorable pact? Because if you sign this, you will lose the sovereignty, right? Because then there are some conditions. If you need to employ any Europeans, you have to inform it firstly to the British, right? And then if you're signing any treaty, war treaty or peace treaty, you have to get it informed with the British. So there are some conditions. So that's the reason why if you're signing this treaty, it's almost like you are surrendering the sovereignty. They have used this word diplomatically, inform. It is actually, you have to get the permission from the British. Okay, guys. So now this is very important for prelims. What is subsidiary alliance is important. Connected to Wellesley is important. French governor Dupleix introduced it. That is also important for prelims. And most importantly, these years are very, very important because they will ask you to arrange in a chronological order. So you should be knowing it very clearly if they're asking you. Not only this, guys, even the doctrine of Lapse also. That also they will ask you in the same way, arrange in a chronological order, the states which were annexed under Doctrine of Lapse. Similarly, the states which signed the subsidiary alliance, you don't want to know all the states. First few we need to know. That's why I've taken these. So at least this you remember. They can ask you match the following. They will give you Hyderabad and the year somewhere here. Okay. And then Mysore and the year somewhere here. right? So you need to go for match the following, chronological order. All these are what they will ask you in this. So this part is very important. You have to remember it. Okay. And the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, that is part of Anglo-Mysore War we have to discuss. But here, last session we have done that. Okay, then there was another short time for term for Cornwallis, but nothing much happened. George Barlow, nothing much is there. There was some white mutiny, but I don't think that anything significant in prelims is going to come in George Barlow time. White mutiny, that is also not that significant. Mutiny itself is not that significant, but 1857 is somewhat more important. This white mutiny, maybe you can say this is rare among whites, right? But still, because most of the case, the reasons for mutiny among the soldiers, the reason will be discrimination, right? And identity threat, low salary, humiliation. These are the reasons. But white mutiny, the chances are less, but still, it's not important for us for prelims. If you need to, just refer that, George Barlow. And then this period, Lord Minto won. Another Minto is also going to come almost exactly after 100 years, right? So Minto won, very important here. Why important is because Charter Act, right? So this Minto is connected with Charter Act. Another Minto that you're going to learn that is connected with which reform? Can you just type me? Any one of you? Which one? Minto Morley reforms that you're supposed to learn. That I think the next week we'll do that. Okay, quickly we'll do that. So Treaty of Amritsar, that you can see. Charter Act of 1813, very important. They will ask you Charter Act of 1813, 1833, very important. Nilo, it's not 1919. That is Montagu Chelmsford. It's 19, not 9. Minto Morley. Okay, almost you can see exactly after 100 years. Exactly, that's why history almost repeat. Okay. So here, guys, what is Charter Act? There are many things you can read from Lakshmikant, but the 2 points which I want you to remember. One was connected to education, very important, because they can ask you questions related to education reform. So something from here is considered very important. And then the other is related to, end of monopoly. In fact, both they have asked in the last 2 years. So what is this end of monopoly? I'll quickly tell you guys, because I don't have time to explain everything. End of monopoly means the East India Company enjoyed monopoly, right? So till then they were enjoying monopoly in trade with India. So now this industrialization is almost all this is there. A lot of entrepreneurs are coming, new companies are coming, new management is coming. So they also want to expand their trade and everything, right? So they are finding it. India is a very potential area in terms of population, in terms of market, in terms of raw material. So they also want to get in connection with India, right? So they also started bribing the parliamentarians and they have passed this act in their favor. So with this, there was an end of monopoly of East India Company. What does that mean? Other companies can also come and trade with India now. Other companies from England can also come and trade with India, not only East India Company. Till then, they were enjoying the monopoly. But there were 2 exceptions. Is it there here? Yes, these are the exception. Except in tea products and trade with China. So these are the 2 exceptions. So this 2 is exactly what they have asked last year. Just like this only they have asked. Nothing to change. The direct question, except in tea product and trade with China. Okay, so these are sure shoot questions. As soon as you see this, you have to jump on it. And guys, if you miss these kind of questions, that will put you in a disadvantageous position. Because these are very much objective. There is nothing to think. As soon as you see, jump on it, make it correct, and be confident in that. That is done then. Okay, so that is the most important one with respect to Charter Act. And then there are other provisions like Christian missionaries are allowed to preach in India now. They can come and they can practice and they can preach, and all those things are there. Not that significant, though they have asked about this also. But the second one is related to education. What is that? Guys, from here, actually, that development or reforms in education is starting. After this, you will be learning about Macaulay Minute, Wood's Dispatch, right? And then Hundar Commission, Raleigh Commission, a lot of other things you will see. But the first effort that you see is during this Charter Act 1813. What is that? The company was directed to spend rupees 1 lakh for the purpose of betterment of education in those areas where they have control. So the company was directed to spend 1 lakh rupee every year for education wherever they have control. So guys, I just want to tell this point. At least this synopsis is something which you have to remember each and every point. Okay. Now, the impact is what they will ask you in mains. The impact, if you see, maybe in prelims also they can ask you the most important impact of this one. End of monopoly means what? Actually, more and more foreign companies are now going to come to India, right? Now, more foreign companies are going to come to India. Is that good or bad? Now we are looking for foreign direct investments and for FIIs and everything. We are promoting. The Prime Minister is going here and there and asking to invest in India, come to India, and all those things, right? But now the situation is different compared to that time, right? Now we have a government which we have democratically elected, and it is our own government. Something bad is happening, we know how to control it. But that's the time where we don't have our own government, not a democratically elected government. So if something bad is happening, we have no control over it. Now, if you see that time, more and more companies are coming, right? But this led to why this FDI in multi-brand retail. I think if you are reading newspaper, those debates and everything, these are main question, is not allowed actually, or 100% why it is not allowing, or why this problem and why this criticisms and all is there. See, if this companies are coming, forget about at this point of time, forget about LPG or anything. That time, what happened? Okay, imagine this came. What is the actual impact? The ultimate impact is the artisans suffered like anything, right? Because these companies are coming from a very high industrialized country. Everything is produced by machines by using inanimate sources of energy, and these are finished products. And we don't have any such technology. We have these people, artisans, these are handmade products. Obviously, you're spending a lot of time, and there is no concept of economies of scale, and you will take a lot of time and effort. It is not that finished. It will be expensive also compared to these Manchester cloth or Liverpool clothes which are coming, which is very finished, looking good, and cheap also. So that is very attractive for the markets. So they have suffered like anything. This artisan's life is completely ruined because of this. That's the most important impact, guys. Not only that, why, if you see, I think this revision session we should not be getting into this much detail, but still let me tell you this also. If you see the contribution of industry, why it is so less in India? The contribution of industry in GDP, if you see, it's less because of Charter Act of 1813. This is a root cause. Why? Because there was no further development of industry in India. Because there is no motivation for Indian industries to come. Already these big industries are coming and pumping their products at very cheap price, and there is no scope of Indian industries to develop. Later you will see during Swadeshi movement, when boycott of foreign goods and all, when that came, Indian industrialists came, and then they have largely contributed to the freedom struggle also, because they want to send them back, right? Because these capitalists also understood, if we can send the Britishers back, they have huge market in India. So the interest of Indian capitalists also in involving the freedom struggle was different. That's a different debate altogether. Let's not get into that. But now I hope you understood the impact. So if someone is asking you the most important impact or simply impact, it led to something called as, this is a word that you should be writing in your answer. It led to, what is this? Deindustrialization. That means there is no further scope of development of Indian industries. So this is the root cause why we still don't have good, a vibrant industrial growth, right? Despite we have a good, we have resources, we have population, we have market and everything. Still, why our industries are not doing good? This impact was there. So that was a problem. Okay, so guys, very important one, Lord Minto. Let me quickly go to Lord Hastings. Okay, now Hastings period. In fact, Hastings, you see a continuation of the impact. Guys, I've told you, foreign companies are coming. They are looking for what? They're looking for two things: market to sell their product, and they also need raw material. Now, if you are in need of this, you need complete political control in India, because if you need to use the market and if you need to get raw material so easily and cheaply, then you need to have a political control. That means till then they were very happy with whatever area they have. they had, right? But now they started expanding their territory. So this is a period, guys. This is very important. Again, from here there is a shift which is going to happen. So remember this period from Hastings time onwards, there is a shift in their policy. What is that policy shift? Now they're going to expand their territory. Why they're going to expand their territory? It is connected with 1813 Charter Act. Connected with 1813 Charter Act means, what is that specific point? End of monopoly, foreign companies are coming. Now you need market, raw material, you need political control, so you'll capture the area. Even when you discussed about this one, Subsidiary Alliance, they never had any intention to annex these states. Why they have signed Subsidiary Alliance? They just want to keep their army everywhere without spending anything from their exchequer. That's the only purpose. But now, since this has been signed and you have presence across India, and now when you're changing your policy, that is going to be very easy. So something which has been done by Wellesley is now getting, going to deliver the fruits. You got my point? So when Wellesley did it, at that point of time, he never thought or he never intended to expand their territory. So guys, most of the students are not clear with these concepts, and they can ask you prelims questions, very tricky questions based on this. So Subsidiary Alliance, is it for expansion of territory? Never intended and never did. But how it helped them? Because now there is a change in policy, so they can use these army to capture this area. And in fact, see, if you sign this treaty, you are making a promise that you will be helping these local kings who signing the treaty from any external threat, and you will not interfere in the internal matters and all those things. And for example, if you see 1903, Sindh signing the treaty, and 1943, you can see Sindh was annexed by British. And Sindh was annexed by British, and the person who was responsible for the annexation of Sindh, that was Charles Napier. And he have written a letter to the Governor General. That time, what he have written, the Governor General was Lord Ellenborough. I'll come to that. If you see in the PDF, I'll come to that. Lord Ellenborough. And what Charles Napier said is, we do not have any right to annex Sindh. And still we did it. And what a piece of rascality it is. So he clearly knows that this is a state which we have signed Subsidiary Alliance, and we have to protect the state. And we are not doing it. Similarly, Awadh signed the treaty, but you will see here in this lecture itself, maybe I'll be discussing, in 1956, Awadh was annexed for a very strange reason. Though Doctrine of Lapse is there, you cannot annex Awadh under Doctrine of Lapse because Awadh will not come under that policy. So what they did, they have used another, reason, misgovernance. Okay, guys. So all these you need to understand. That is very important. Subsidiary Alliance is never for annexation. This is just to keep their army without spending anything from their side. It is actually a military help. If that state is facing any problem, you will be helping that state by offering your army. In return, you have to feed the army. But from here, you see a change in policy. From where? From Lord Hastings' time. And the reason for change in policy is what was happened during Minto time. What is that? Charter Act. Specific point, monopoly. I'm expecting this is very clear. Okay. So you will see this Anglo-Nepal War, Anglo-Burmese War, Anglo-Afghan War. These are nothing, guys. They are not much interested in those states. They are only looking for these countries or states to keep as a buffer state. If you have control in Afghan, you can check any Russian invasion. Similarly, Nepal, Bhutan, Burma, you can have a control over Japan. You can check any Japanese invasion. In fact, you can see during Second World War, we are facing that threat from Japanese, right? So it actually will help if you have a control in these areas. That's the only reason they are looking for these areas. Then Anglo-Maratha War, very significant because Marathas were completely crushed. And the Peshwa, that time, Peshwa Bajirao II was sent to Vittur. Vittur is a place near Kanpur, right? And he lived rest of his life in pension over there. And this is a mercy that the Britishers have done to all rulers who were beaten. There's a mercy that they're giving to all rulers from Shah Alam onwards. They will give the pension, but they will not allow to stay in that same area. Why? Why? Because they can again mobilize masses and they can fight back against English. Right? Indian, if you see India or the subcontinent people, they are emotionally very much attached with rulers and ex-rulers. That's why they will not allow him to stay there. For that matter, any ruler, if you see Bahadur Shah Safar was beaten in 1857 revolt, but he was sent to Rangoon. Then again, this is what actually in Second Anglo-Punjab War later, which you are going to see, Dilip Singh was sent to England for higher education. So they will never allow the king who was beaten will to stay in that particular area because of this emotional thing. The subcontinent people are highly and very much emotionally attached with the rulers. That's why if even you see political leaders died, immediately who will contest the election, son or daughter, because that emotion will come, right? So and Pune was annexed into Bombay Presidency. Okay, this we have discussed. Okay, this also I have discussed, right? Rotwari settlement was introduced in Madras. So permanent settlement, Mahalwari settlement, Rotwari settlement I have discussed. Permanent settlement in eastern part of India, Punjab, Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, some parts of Tamil Nadu, some part of Benares. Rotwari settlement in Madras, and then in the central provinces with the capital Nagpur, right? We have discussed it. Maximum area which was covered by Rotwari settlement around 51%. Permanent settlement, 19% of British India. Mahalwari settlement, 30% of British India. Who introduced? Guys, this was a direct question in 2017 prelims. Thomas Munro. One more person is there. Who's that? I've told that name. Reed, right? Munro and Reed. So first Anglo-Burmese War. Okay, this is again a very important Governor General, Lord William Bentinck. Guys, again, I'm repeating, this is not a session for teaching history. That I'll take a lot of time, and most of you have already attended the session, or you have completed history, that's why you're sitting for the revision session. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you. So I'm just telling you what all are the areas that you should be covering, right? And which all are the important Governor Generals. Very important Governor General. Very important. So far we have seen two. Cornwallis, very important, and Wellesley, again very important. Minto, okay. Warren Hastings, important because he was the first Governor General. So anti-Sati resolution was passed, right? So you know what is Sati. There is no point in discussing that. So under this, Sati was declared as culpable homicide not amounting to murder, and then a maximum punishment of 10 years of rigorous imprisonment was given for those who instigate or compel the female to commit suicide or to jump onto the funeral pyre of the husband. So that's what anti-Sati resolution. So you know the contribution of Raja Ram Mohan Roy and all, and that can be asked as a mains question. So I'm not getting into that. Again, this is very important for prelims. Anti-Thugi law. Thugs are the armed, robbers. They hide in the jungle and they attack and loot the business people, the traders who take that shortcut route. Okay, and then they will kill also. They will loot everything. Very common problem in central part of India. So Lord William Bentinck introduced this law. The law is not written here, anti-Thugi law, under which they have completely suppressed. In fact, the law and order situation in India have improved drastically during British time. Guys, this was a mains question. Law and order situation in India improved drastically during British time. Discuss. You can critically discuss also, but there's a positive thing to discuss. There are a lot of positives. So this anti-Thugi law you can mention. We have discussed about police reforms. Police officials were appointed. Police stations were established, right? So Daroga and all those things we have discussed before. And there were some policies like if you hide a criminal in a village, the entire village will be punished. Those kinds of laws were there at that point of time. So the law and order situation in India improved drastically, no doubt in that. But this is important for prelims. This you just need to know the which happened under Lord William Bentinck. That anyway you will come to know. Okay, this is very important again. 1833 Charter Act. So guys, what I'll do is I'll tell the most important points here. So if I go for a quick recap, what we have done so far: 1773 Regulating Act we have done, 1784 Pitt's India Act we have done, 1813 Charter Act we have done. Okay, So 1773, we have discussed about Governor General of Bengal plus 4 members, and then there was a provision of Supreme Court that you know. These are the two key points we have discussed. 1784 Pitt's India Act, what we have discussed is Governor General of Bengal plus 4 became 3. Reason I have told you. And then there was a provision of recall. Then something called as Board of Control was introduced. Then in 1813, end of monopoly and something related to education also we have discussed. Right? Now, then we have discussed about some police reform, some judicial reforms, some civil service reforms. That is in 1793. We have discussed about civil service reform and judicial reform. Again, this 1833, I'm going to connect with all these so that I can make it very simple for all of you. So it will be very easy for you to remember. 1773, the post of Governor General of Bengal was created. It was still then Governor General, Governor of Bengal, Governor General of Bengal now. Now, 1833, this Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India. So in 1833, you can see after 60 years, Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India. So this is during Lord William Bentinck time. So who is the last Governor General of Bengal? Lord William Bentinck. Who is the first Governor General of India? Again, Lord William Bentinck. Okay, so Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India. Now see guys, initially 4 council members. It was reduced to 3 because of some problems that we have discussed. The 4 members also we have discussed. Philip Francis, George Monson, John Clavering, and one more guy was there. I don't remember. John Clavering, right? So George Monson, John Clavering, Philip Francis, and one more person was there. Can anyone type it? I just forgot that name. Somebody who attended the last session. Richard Barwell, right? So Philip Francis, George Monson, John Clavering, and Richard Barwell. So these are the 4 members, and it was reduced to 3. Now what they will do is, second point you can write is Governor General of India. They have increased it once again to 4. Guys, this is again you will increase later, but that's not important. This is important because this newly added member, from this 3, one more added. This member is known as law member, and his job is to advise the Governor General in law matters, legal matters. Okay, obviously law member means it is like the Attorney General, right? So his role is to advise the Governor General in legal matters. Who was the first law member? Since here I have told you the 4 members, then I have never discussed about the members. Why? We need to know the first. That is always important, right? So here the first law member is Lord Macauley. And connected to this only, you will see Macaulay a minute later. So Lord Macaulay. Okay, guys. And then third point that you can see here is related to, so this is connected, and 3 become 4, this is connected. Now here there is monopoly. Now there were 2 surviving monopoly. What are they? Trade with China and trade in tea products. These 2 surviving monopoly also ended. That means complete end of monopoly. That means complete deindustrialization. Now completely all foreign companies can come trade anything and anywhere, no problem, right? So complete end of monopoly. That means that 2 surviving monopoly also ended. You can write in your own language, complete end of monopoly. Now again, 1793 reform. Civil service reform I have told you, but at that time I've told you it is not through any open competitive exam, and it is not allowing Indians or anything. But here there is a reform that there is a provision that no discrimination should be made in the recruitment of civil services on the basis of sex, color, creed, place of birth, etc. So that is a civil service reform. From here, Indians can start entering into, but theoretically, practically, much later only. Obviously, the exam will be conducted in their favor in England, and Shakespeare's literature and the tough, those kinds of philosophy and all were the syllabus. But still, some Indians were able to get through that. We'll see that later. Judicial reform. We have discussed about something that Dhaka, Patna, Calcutta, Murshidabad, 4 Diwani courts were established by Lord Cornwallis. So the 4 Diwani courts which were established by Lord Cornwallis, Dhaka, Patna, Calcutta, Murshidabad, when 1793. These 4 Diwani courts to be abolished, and instead High Court to be set up. But 1857, later only you will see High Courts to be set up in 3 presidencies. right? The Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras, and then you'll see 1864 in Allahabad. We will discuss in the coming sessions. Okay, so guys, just remember this five. How I can connect it with these we have discussed before. That's how you can remember easily, right? So the first one here, Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India. 3 became 4. Fourth member is law member, Lord Macauley. Monopoly, complete end. Civil service reform, no discrimination should be made now. Judicial reform, all these should be abolished and instead High Court to be set up. Okay. So that's about Charter Act of 1833. So this ended the monopoly, trade with China, that ended. Introduced law member. Then Governor General of Bengal was made Governor General of India. The other two is not mentioned here, but that you can add. Okay. Now, this one, Macaulay Minute. Okay, guys, quickly what I'll do is I'll discuss all the education reform. That also can be a question. Up to Undar Commission, I'll discuss now. Rest, you need to refer. So the first one I have discussed when 1813 Charter Act. What is that? Just before I've told you that the company was directed to spend rupees 1 lakh for the purpose of betterment of education in those areas where they have control. Now comes the second and somewhat the most important one, Macaulay Minute. You know who's Macaulay, right? The law member, first law member, we have discussed about that. So during this time, there was a debate which is going on. The way you are going to give education to Indians. And the debate is like this, whether to give education to Indians in English or in, Indian model. So there are two, groups. On one side, Anglicist, and on the other side, Orientalist. Okay. So Anglicist wanted to give education to Indians in English model and in English medium. Orientalist, they wanted to give education in Indian model. Within that, it should be either classical language like Sanskrit and all, or vernacular language. So within that, again, there is a division. Vernacular means Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, etc. Okay, so this is Orientalist. But finally, they won the debate, and they have decided to give education to Indians in English model and in English medium. So this is what Macaulay Minute. This is also known as downward filtration theory. Okay. Also, there is one more name. Trickle down theory. Why, guys? Why it is trickle down theory? Because what do you mean by trickle down approach? You might have studied that in economy also. You throw something to top, it will automatically come down. So the idea here is, when you have decided to give education to Indians in English medium and in English model, it's not for all Indians. It's only for few. That means a minority, hardly 1% is going to get education in English model and in English medium. That the elite section, this minority doesn't mean that religious minority. When I say minority, means 1% of Indians are going to get education. What is the assumption here? You teach these 1%. This 1% who get the better education will teach rest of the others in the vernacular language. That's what you mean by trickle down approach. You improve GDP, automatically it will be trickle down and solve the problems of unemployment, inequality, and all, hunger, poverty, and all those things. That's the trickle down approach. Okay, but it never happened. In fact, these 1% became more English than English themselves, right? So that was a big problem. So this one was a failure. Macaulay Minute is a failure. Why it is a failure? Because the responsibility of giving education to Indians was not taken by the government. It was given to this 1% who's getting English model, English medium education. In fact, they started speaking English or with the vernacular language or their local language in a wrong accent, like the Britishers do. Their dress style, the food style, and everything changed, and they never even interact with the local people. So that's the way they have changed. So it is never going to be possible, right? They totally get westernized. In fact, it is in sociology, you guys will be learning westernization is there, Westoxication is also there, right? Westoxication is a different concept. Okay, we'll do that. The bad westernization, there are a lot of good things. We don't take that good things, rather we take the bad things. That's what West toxication. I'll come to that in sociology, for the sociology student. Okay, guys, this is what downward filtration approach or the trickle down approach. I hope this is very clear to all of you. Since I have discussed about macular minute, what I'll do is I quickly discuss about this 1854 Woods Dispatch. So if I can connect it, things will be getting very easy for all of you. Guys, what is the problem with macular minute? State did not took up the responsibility, and the responsibility is given to masses. So to correct this, now here the first point. Okay, Woods Dispatch. Why it is Woods Dispatch? It is there was a board of control we have discussed. Do you remember Pitt's India Act? We have discussed a board of control. The president of board of control was Charles Wood. He have written a letter to the Governor General, the then Governor General Dalhousie. So this is during the time of Dalhousie. Okay, and this letter is with some recommendations with respect to education. That is what Wood's Dispatch. Okay, so Charles Wood's proposals during Dalhousie time. Charles Wood was the board of control president at that time. Later, this board of control will be abolished after 1857. Then this person, Charles Wood, will become the Secretary of State. I'll come to that later. Okay, Indian Council Office will be established, and then Secretary of State post will be created. So this guy will become the first Secretary of State. Okay, so Wood's Dispatch. Guys, the problem with macular minute will be solved here. So here the concept is based on education for masses. And education for masses is the responsibility of state. Okay, that means now state is going to take the responsibility of giving education to masses. This is a very important reform in education, and many historians call it as Magna Carta of modern Indian education. So which one is known as Magna Carta of modern Indian education? It is the Wood's Dispatch. Very, very important. Okay, so education, why it is known as Magna Carta of modern Indian education? For the first time, state have taken the responsibility to provide education for masses. Okay, so mass education, now everybody will be getting education. Okay, okay. So now one more so that is one disadvantage of the problem with respect to macular minute have solved. Guys, there was one more issue with respect to macular minute, that they have focused on higher education. Okay, so those model English education is given to in the higher education only. So that means they have ignored the primary and secondary education, right? So here what they do is they will consider secondary education, and secondary education should be given in vernacular language. So here they have taken care of secondary education. Okay, see here also there is a problem. Instead of going from bottom to top, they are coming from top to bottom. Macular minute, higher education. Here, secondary education. Hundar Commission, you will solve that problem also. That is how you need to connect it. So now imagine, in case if you are writing mains, if they're asking you education reforms, you need to write all. If they're writing Hundar Commission, you have to start with macular minute, tell the problem, right? And then talk about Wood's Dispatch, tell the problem. What is the problem here? Here also there is a problem because they are focusing on secondary education rather than primary education. And in Hundar Commission, that will be solved. So this all are connected. Any essay related to education, you should start from history. These are milestones, guys. 1813 milestone, first effort towards education. You should never forget it. The second milestone, 1835 macular minute. Then 1854 Wood's Dispatch. 1882, 1905. These are milestones. You get a question in education in essay without touching these milestones. And guys, if you know this, if you have good knowledge about this, imagine the kind of essay you can write, right? The way you can put forward all these points with perspective rather than reading a book. Now I hope you understood what the problem with macular minute. Two problem, state did not took up the responsibility. What is the second problem? Tertiary, the higher education is given importance. What's Dispatch? First problem is solved. What is that? Education for masses. But they are focusing on secondary education. They have not solved the problem with primary, right? So in Hundar Commission, you will see primary education to be given more importance. Okay, now third point here is, I'll go faster, technological colleges to be established. So when I say technological colleges to be established, And after this, you will see some technological colleges were established, not some, two mainly. So this is actually happening during Dalhousie period. So the first one was in 1854 at Roorkee. You know, right? This is the first engineering college, and now during Vajpayee's time, this was converted to IIT. And then second one, this is the first technological colleges which was established, 1854. Second one was in Bihar. Can anyone name it? Anyone who attended the session already? Yeah, Pusa. Who is that? Pushkar. Okay. So Pusa Institute of Agricultural Sciences, right? So it was originally established in Bihar, but you know where is it now? You should be knowing that. Why? There was an earthquake in 1934, and then it was shifted to, yeah, it was shifted to Delhi. Okay, but that's not important for you anyway. You just need to know the first engineering college was established in India after this Woods Dispatch during Dalhousie period, and then the first, this one. What is this name? Pusa Institute of Agricultural Sciences. Okay, guys. So this is very important, and then there is one more. Technological colleges. Okay. Now there is one more. What is that? Universities to be established. So till then there was no such concept of universities, like in India at least, right? So forget about these, traditional universities. I'm not talking about that. So there is no concept of BA, BCom, MA, all those things. So now you will be getting those degrees, and then universities were established, and you can see 1857, 3 universities were established at Bombay, and then Calcutta and in Madras. Okay, and then you will see a lot of other universities which will be established. 84 Punjab universities, because in Hundar Commission you will see more universities to be opened. So more universities in 1884 Punjab University, 87 Allahabad University, then flood of universities, Banaras Hindu University, Jamia Millia University, Osmania University, Patna University, Dhaka University. 1915 to 22 was a golden era of universities. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 point is universities. What is the fifth point? One more point is related to this teachers training program. So they have realized that it is not only the students who need to be taught, the teachers also need to be taught the way they are going to give education to the students. So what is this? B.Ed and M.Ed and all those things are started coming after this. Okay, guys. So this is the most important points which you need to remember with respect to Woods Dispatch, both for prelims and for mains. Very important, not only for history. This is going to be very useful for your essay also. Okay. So education for masses to be the responsibility of the state, known as Magna Carta. Secondary education in vernacular language, technological colleges, universities, and then teachers training program. Let's quickly look for this. What is this next one? Hundar Commission. Okay. There is another Hundar Commission that is related to Enquiry Commission of Jallianwala Bagh Massacre. That is different. This is related to education reform. Okay. Under which Governor General? Can anyone tell me? Under which Governor General? At least, guys, this is 1882. Can you tell me now the Governor General? 1882. Yeah, Ripon. So this is during the time of Ripon. Okay, very good Governor General. In fact, after Lytton, Ripon is coming. A lot of reforms you will see: education reform, Panchayat Raj reform, some reforms you will see. Okay, so Hundar Commission. What will be the first point? What is the criticism that we have seen there, even in Woods Dispatch? Primary education was ignored, right? So here they will give importance to primary education. See, this is one of the criticism that you can write in case if you are writing the mains. I'm expecting that all of you will write the mains. So if the question is asked, from where you should start if you need to reform education? Start from the bottom, primary, then secondary, then higher education. But how they came? Macaulay Minute, then Woods Dispatch, higher, secondary, then primary, right? But they had their own motives and objectives, because they need to create a group of people who are, Indian in skin and color and British, in mindset and everything, right? So that is what they wanted, that group the so-called middle class for their advantage. That's the reason why they have done that, whatever it is. So primary education should be given importance. Second one, there's a concept of grants and aid. Okay, now guys, you see here, what's the past we have discussed. So education to be given for masses, that's the responsibility of the state. Now, do you think state can establish schools everywhere, appoint the teachers and maintain them and giving education to masses? Is it possible? It is difficult. So what is the solution? What's the best way? You allow the private people, private party also to open the school and keeping some conditions, and if you follow these conditions, and then the state can give the grants. So up to like 95% you can provide some support to these private parties so that you can keep your promise. You can give education for masses so easily, right? So the grants in aid was provided to private schools. Third important point is related to women education. But see, guys, in this, what is most important for me is this one, because that is how the chain, right? Women education should be given priority. Then fourth point, more universities to be opened. And you will see, that's what I've told you. 1884, Punjab University. 1887, you will see Allahabad University. Then a lot of universities. This is a golden era, right? 1915 to 22. Jamia Millia University, Aligarh University, Patna University, Dhaka University, Banaras Hindu University, Osmania University. You will see a lot of universities. So that's about the education reform put together. Charles Metcalfe, freedom of press, very controversial topic actually. They give freedom to press, and 1878 you will see they have taken it away, right, by Lytton Vernacular Press Act. And then 1881, when Ripon came, 1880 or 81, the issue of solved and granted freedom. And then again after independence, also Indira Gandhi during the time of, and see the coincidence, guys. 1878, what happened? Ripon Vernacular Press Act. Almost exactly after 100 years, 1977, during emergency, Indira Gandhi also did the similar measure. And people have compared with... No, that is different. Okay. So I've already told you about Anglo-Afghan War. This is not significant for us because you see every superpower, if you see in history, they are fighting against Afghan for one or the other reason. But the irony is that, have you seen any superpower winning against Afghan? UK, England is fighting. This is first Anglo-Afghan War. Second also is coming. Both cases, they are suffering massively. They're not able to win. Right? Here also you'll see, not here. You'll see one more, right? Yeah. Then UK, USSR again suffer badly. Even USA also suffer badly. 2014 they have withdrawn. So who suffered the financial loss and everything? These superpowers. Why? That reason is very controversial. People tell that this guerrilla warfare and the tough terrain and everything, but it is ultimately the fighting spirit of these people. Okay, but let's not get into that. That's not required. We just need to know why they want to fight. This is to keep us buffer state so that any Russian invasion can be checked, right? So any Russian invasion, if you have control here, if you can keep your army here and you can check that. Same as the case with Anglo-Burmese War also. Okay, Dalhousie onwards, what I'll do is I'll discuss from the next day. But guys, this is also just not this. Female infanticide and human sacrifice were prohibited. You can see a lot of such good things have been done by British. Okay, anti-Sadi resolution, ban on female infanticide, ban on human sacrifice. These are socio reforms, socio-religious reforms. So female infanticide was practiced among, particularly among Rajputs, the Kshatriyas, right? They are looking for the farriers, so they don't wish to have the female babies. So female infanticide. Human sacrifice among this particular tribe, Gonds, in the central part of India. Okay, so this were prohibited. A lot of good things like anti-Sadi resolution, ban on female infanticide, ban on human sacrifice, Widow Remarriage Act. So what ultimately happened is people started thinking that the Britishers are unnecessarily interfering their religion and their beliefs, and that is one of the main reason for 1857 revolt, something which we will do in the next session. Okay, 1857 revolt, and you can see after 1857 there is no such reforms that they have brought in, except something in 1972, the Universal Marriage Act. Otherwise, there is nothing, because they have understood that if you're touching the religion, then this is going to create problem and you cannot stay here more. So they have stayed without doing any such reforms. And what happened then? This Herculean task was left to the constitutional makers, and we had to do it after independence. Okay, guys, so here also that this is what I've told you, this year's very important. They can ask you chronological order, match the following. But I'll tell you what is Doctrine of Lapse, what are the states which are coming under Doctrine of Lapse. What you know is only, small portion, like it will be annexed. But there are some categories of states which is going to be annexed, not all the states, that I'll discuss in the next session. Okay, so that's it, guys, for today. What we will do is we'll stop here. And what I'll do is I'll share this PDF. In fact, this is from this book. If you want to have a very small book that will also help you along with Spectrum, TMH Tariq Khan. So if you are watching my history classes, most of my content is actually from this, because he is my teacher. So I've learned from him and it is easy for me to teach from him. Okay. So guys, we'll see you next week. I'm stopping here. See you guys. Thank you.